Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day in the market, especially for Tesla. Oh boy, and I really wanted in this video to dig deep into Tesla, right? Talk about the earnings and why I'm telling you right now. I'm going to show you exactly why this was already preordained. Okay, it didn't matter what Elon Musk said, what he did. This was already all set up. And by doing that, I'm going to talk about another stock which looks very eerily similar, by the way, that is going through the same thing that Tesla is going through right now, and to watch out for this very closely. And then we'll talk about a few more stocks that are hitting key levels. So watch them closely. And then I'm also, if those who hang with me, I always like to get your input. I'm going to ask you a question because you're in the real world out there. A lot of you guys are managers, things of that nature. And so I want to ask you something about these freaking job reports, because I'm getting data out, says one thing, but again, that's delayed. And I'm hearing from some of you guys out there kind of something similar. So I want to make sure, and maybe you can help me out with it, because I'm just really confused on some of this data that's coming out. Now, Tesla, okay, so understand those who don't know, didn't see it, but Tesla reports earnings, and when you look at it, we'll just look at the chart real quick, and then we'll come back to what they actually said on the call. And of course, with Tesla, the first thing is this trend line, right? This is the trend line we talked about for weeks on end. Again, saved it here when it was going to zero, and it got down to 101. Saved it there for that big sell-off. Saved it during the 2020 crash. That's how important this trend line actually is. You can see right there. And it started in 2019. Okay, so we're going 5 years back on this. And so when you look, it had already hit that trend line, right? That was the bottom, at least for now, right? That's what it was. And so that's why I'm telling you, it didn't matter what was coming on. So we knew earnings were going to be bad, right? Why did we know that? Because news was horrible. Because when you look, it's already been selling down for what looks on this overall chart 2 years. Okay, this has been, since it hit 400, it's been going down ever since, with rallies here or there. And so that's why it didn't matter what Elon said. We're going to get into what he said and what the market hung on to. But you get these stocks are just so beat down. All the news is already out there. We knew it was going to be bad, and it was, right? But when you know that and you're in a downtrend selling off, you tend to get rewarded, right? Because why? Short sellers. And when you look at this right here, obviously you can see that trend line right there is where it actually got above, back in this little channel right here, okay? And when you look at it, that's what we was hitting multiple times in pre-market day. It just kept hitting it and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and it ended up closing above. It got above that 160 level, which was really key to close above. But more importantly, when you look at it, if you're a Tesla holder, what you'd love to see is this actually come down some and actually start cleaning up the chart a little bit, consolidating and start building off some base before it actually starts to move up, because it did get above the weekly expected move, came back down. Obviously, a 15% day is just an enormous day for a large cap stock. I mean, that's crazy. This is shorts covering like crazy, getting smoked. When it opened, shorts were reportedly down on paper 1.6 billion. When it kept going, I don't know what they got down, probably what, 2.5 billion if they sold. You would think at some point in time they were definitely selling. And so, now are we going to break this trend line and fall back out of the channel? That's where we got to wait and see. Again, I'd like to see consolidation, start actually forming some higher lows more than anything else. I don't need any more higher highs. If you get that, that's gravy. But really, just moving up and start forming out, and do not fall back below 140. Whatever you do, don't fall back out of that trend line right there. And this is something you can see on Tesla, right? You can see you got that bounce. It comes all the way up here above 200. Maybe we bounce again, go back, and then a breakout, right? Down the road. You can see that chart goes all the way to 2025 right there. But what was weird about today, and Tesla's not the only one, you're seeing this reaction today. You get these weird reactions on earnings. That's why I say don't try to predict them, right? Tesla, terrible numbers, horrific. We already knew, right? You go down here, AT&T, double miss, no problem, up 4%. Boeing, horrible, right? Ends up 3.5% up. I'll tell you why it actually tanked in the middle of the day, right? Texas Instruments, good earnings, and then Enphase was a mess. Went down 10%, end up recovering a whopping 15% to go positive before the market rolled over around 10:30 this morning. Now, if you'll do me a quick favor, please hit that thumbs up. Helps people find the video. I really appreciate it, okay? Now, look at what Elon said, what they talk about. They really, and he drove home the point is, this isn't a car company, it's a tech company. Again, I'm saying what Elon said, not me. Okay, and so they know they got the car problem, right? As far as the margin, as far as demand in China and things like that. But what do you talk about? A lot of tech stuff. The robot, right? Selling it next year is going to work out in the factories this year, right? The robo-taxis, which they're going to call cyber taxi. All right, they're going to talk about that in August. Okay, and see that roll out again. That's going to be, man, it's going to take a long time for that. I'm telling you guys, it's going to take a long time. If that even happens, okay? I was talking to some guy about the legislation part of it and the legalities and all this other stuff this weekend. I could do a whole video on that. 3, sitting there talking about what they're going to do with their autonomous driving package. There's a major automobile company. He said is going to probably purchase that, which won't be able to roll it out till 2027. So who knows how those payments are going to work. And so the thing they kept talking about was tech, right? And then, of course, NVIDIA popped because they're using a whole lot of NVIDIA chips, right? And so, they really put the emphasis on we're a tech company, we deserve this bigger valuation, all that good stuff. And so that's what they talked about. And so we'll see, where it goes. Again, just look for, don't worry about the higher highs right now. Just look for the lower lows. You don't want to see any more, I'm sorry, higher lows, not lower lows. I hope I said that before, but you want to see higher lows, right? And so just start building that out, and then we'll see where we go from there. Now, again, what company is actually going through something very similar, right? Actually started selling down before Tesla, but you're seeing just nothing but bad news. And it was actually green today when other companies started to roll over. That is Apple. Watch out for this one. I'm telling you right now, it seems kind of fishy right here. They were green today. And man, remember, this stock's been selling off. It started selling off and during this last sell down before Tesla, right? December 15th. And so been selling down, got no love on this rally whatsoever. And you can see it's at like a pivotal level, right? A level that has been support in the past, been resistance, been support. And so that's where it's at. And it was actually green again on the day. And when you look, I'll go to 5 minutes, show what I'm talking about. And we'll try to compare this, have a little fun here. But you can see this thing was moving up. And I'm going to put on here some other important stocks that you would think of, right? We'll put on here an ETF, right? We'll put on SPY. Let's throw on there, what the heck, who else we got? We'll go NVIDIA, that's a pretty important one. We'll throw, what the heck, Google. And just for giggles, we'll throw Microsoft. And when you see, look what happened. Those rolled over at 10:30, and the Apple said, nah, we're good. We're just going to keep going up. And this is when bad news was coming out today. These were 2 reports that hit today, right? Talking about their iPhone sales are down. Saw a 19% decrease in iPhone sales in China. Right, their market share fell 15.7%. And then here comes this one. Tim Cook is going to cut the Vision Pro shipment forecast by 50%. That is a lot. And these came out before it kept rallying, right? So it's rallying off bad news. Again, the report's next week. Now, the question is, what can they say on the earnings call that we hadn't already heard? I mean, seriously. I mean, what else is there? We know China's a mess. We know their iPhone sales are a mess. We know the Vision Pro's a mess. And so all I'm saying is watch out for that to pull a Tesla. Remember, they buy more stock by a country mile than anybody else. So you know they've been buying stock like crazy this quarter, which helps them with their earnings per share. And so what are you seeing? You're seeing stocks that are beat down, report bad earnings, getting rewarded, and you're seeing stocks like for a Meta, for example, it double beat, all this other stuff came out, but what is? It's way up here. It hadn't been selling off, right? So those stocks, you got to hang what's the old saying here? You got to hang the roof or whatever the heck the saying is, but you have to do great, right? Because you're way up here now. You hadn't been selling off like Apple and like Tesla and all this other crazy mess. And so, again, it might be a short-term reward, right? Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, whatever, and then it comes back down. But just watch out for it, because that's what Wall Street loves to do, okay? Now, looking at what we're talking about, why was the day kind of tough for the market since we've been rallying like crazy? First of all, we had 2 crazy days. Second of all, again, on the futures, we were coming up in this area. This is what we talked about now for going on 3 days. People expect us to come out of this area. As soon as we hit the area, we sold back off, right? Never came back up and retested it. You look on the S&P, same thing, right? That's just a tough area after you have such a big rally to come through, okay? And so that, I'm not surprised it was like that today. Again, it wasn't a bad day, okay? And what you're really looking for, all you want to see is higher highs and higher lows. And today, it looks to me like we got a higher high, right? And so, again, that wasn't a higher high because we didn't break that level. But then we had a big move up past both levels, all right? So that was like a higher high to me right there. And then now you want to see, are we going to come back down and set a higher low? Okay, that's really what you're looking for. And then from there, obviously, you're looking for just higher highs, higher lows, right? That's how we move in the market. And so you just got to get past that level right there if that is the case. Obviously, Meta earnings do not help. because they are down 10% in after hours right now because they're getting punished for being basically lofty. And I guess their guidance didn't come in as like hanging the moon or anything. And don't forget on the other earnings calls, that's when they said, oh, we're going to do a dividend and we're going to do stock buybacks. And maybe they didn't have any of the frivolous stuff. But again, we're still not even in the call right now as I'm actually recording this as we're closed. So, you might see that thing suck up and go green tomorrow. We'll have to find out. But, looking at the stocks to kind of watch out for, you got Boeing right here, right? Boeing is sitting there in this megaphone pattern right here. It hit the bottom part today at this level. And the reason why, because this is the one that reported garbage earnings, went up, right? And then sold off in the middle of the day. But what happened? Well, they got their credit rating cut by Moody's, which never helps because this is a company that has to take on a lot of debt, right, to do what it does. It's very expensive to build planes and stuff. And so again, this level is important. You've seen it's been resistance, it's been support. So there's been plenty of reactions off this level. And at the same time, being in that megaphone pattern right there. So just watch and see. Don't be surprised if you see some crazy government contract come out either, by the way. I've been waiting for that to happen. But, they got a boatload of trouble there. So it also wouldn't surprise me if it fell right through and kept going. But again, we'll see. A lot of government support there. Now, the other one, for those who are in the Chinese stocks, the HSI, which is basically an index for Chinese stocks, finally reached this trend line. We've been waiting weeks to see if it would hit it. Now we get to see if it's going to break through it. It's been almost 3 years. It's been getting rejected off right here. So if you see it break out and you see Chinese stocks start to rally, that lets you know there's a rotation into a beaten down stock market, right? As you can see right there. And versus like ours, who a lot of people think is frothy, right? I mean, a lot of stocks are way up there. And you see BABA, where's it at? The exact same trend line. It's just sitting there waiting to see if it's going to pop or not. And so, we'll see if that's the case or not, because God knows that thing's been a hot mess. I know people just keep dollar cost averaging into it, but, it is what it is. But at least I just want to report that to you. Now, earnings tomorrow, you have Royal Caribbean, American Airlines, travel stocks have been doing pretty well, right? Caterpillar, which I expect to do well just because of the infrastructure bill, Southwest, another one, and then the big boys, Microsoft, Alphabet, Intel, Snap, Roku. And then when you look at red folder news, before the opening bell, you will have GDP numbers and then unemployment claims come out. So all that is before the bell opens. And so that the red folder, remember, that's what can move the markets, all right, in either direction. And now that brings me to my quick question for you guys about employment, right? We keep, the supposedly the business cycle is supposed to be turning up, right? But when it comes to employment, like I just can't figure out where people are getting employed. So what I want to know is where you work, especially if you're a manager or whatever. Are you guys expanding? Are you hiring? Can you not find enough people for jobs, or what's going on? Because when you see the data, you see like Richmond, Fed, manufacturing. I'm just going to concentrate on the employment, right? That top line up there, I think it's orange, right, has been pointing down for like 2 years. I mean, manufacturing has seemed to be in a recession for like 2 years, especially when it comes to the hiring and stuff. Then you go to small businesses, which make up over half the job in this country, right? And you see this thing's been going down since July 22nd as far as NFP private month-over-month payroll numbers. And then the plans, right? There's not really a whole lot of plans. People I talk to say there's no plans to try to really hire. You see the big boys like Tesla and others, they're laying off, of course. Those mega cap companies are still laying off. And then there's this right here.
Yeah, Carl, it's very interesting. Any survey-based thing like the NFIB Hirings Plans Index hit a cycle low in its most recent reading. All the ISM employment indices are right bouncing along the cycle low. We'll get a better reading next week. Ultimately, I can't find where the employment is happening when you look at any of the small business hiring plans or any of the manufacturing sector. So where is the employment data really booming to the point that it's keeping monetary policy high? And I think that's where, as we work through the middle of the year, we do actually get some weakening in the employment data. That gives the Fed plenty of room after a historic run higher in rates to actually cut rates.
And so it's not just me, right? He does a lot of macro research. But again, if the business cycle is supposed to be expanding and going up, right, and we're going to start an expansion, usually your companies are hiring, right, because they're trying to expand their businesses and grow faster, right? And in this case, I can't find it. I mean, we know the government. We do know that. Before you say government, if you work for the government, we do know the government's hiring a boatload of people, right? But I'm talking about the companies. I mean, because the government don't make products to sell and stuff like that as far as I'm aware of. And so I'm just want to ask that to get real feedback from people out there in the real world, even from another country. Let us know how your stuff's going and everything. Because we see that, we know the data is lagging. I've already said that a million times. We know that, right? But I'm just trying to figure out, I haven't talked to anybody that says they're expanding hiring and stuff at a cool rate. I have seen some companies saying we still can't find people to fill these jobs we have, but just the other way. So I just want to get your feedbacks. I always enjoy reading your stuff and everything, and seeing what you got, and then I'll share it in the next video and figure out what we come up with. So anyway, hope you guys got something out of it. Hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. Really appreciate it. If you want to become a member, hit the little button right down there in the description. $7.99 a month, less than McDonald's combo, and you can see what you get right there in the description. So anyway, have a good night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for some more mega cap earnings. All right.